We have a full afternoon, and we start with a super amazing speaker coming from an imprecise location. I have no clue where he lives. I have no clue where he was yesterday, or actually yesterday, yes, but 2 days ago I have no clue where he flew from. He is always around the globe, and it's my pleasure to introduce you Ryan Kulp. Please, an applause to him. Ryan, this is for you, and he is, I don't know how to introduce him. Actually, if I say he's the CEO of a startup, I'm wrong, right? Because he's not the CEO of one startup, but he is the chief whatever officer of many enterprises. Am I right?
Something like that.
Okay, good. Enjoy, man.
Thank you. Well, the answer to his question is Dubai. I was in Dubai a few days ago. Hola, I think that's not right. How many of you work at companies that aren't growing as quickly as you want? Should be everybody.
No, guys, raise the hands, please. Not quickly.
How many of you work at companies that aren't growing as quickly as you want them to?
I guess everyone, right?
Yeah. Now, how many of you are working as hard as you possibly can? Liars. Liars. That's what I want to talk about, because this is strange to me. We want to grow. We want more customers at our companies. But our company is just a bunch of people. And we all have the same amount of time in the day. And so the best growth hack, the biggest lever you can pull to grow your company, it's you. I'm Ryan Kulp. I'm the founder of FOMO, Cross-Sell, Labaloo, and Fork Equity. FOMO is a social proof marketing tool. You can install it on your website. We do conversion rate optimization. Cross-Sell is an e-commerce app that helps you increase your average order value. Labaloo is a company I acquired that helps florists build invoices. Don't ask me how I got into the flower industry. And Fork Equity is a micro PE fund I run with my wife, who's here today, and we buy and start small apps. I've also made a lot of other projects. If you want to look them up, Ryan Kulp projects. Across our portfolio of companies, we have over 7,500 paying customers. These are not free users or signups or DAUs or whatever. These are active paying customers. We spend very little on advertising, so we actually only advertise for branded searches. We have no business people. Everyone on the team writes code, even our developers or our designers. And we're bootstrapped and 100% remote. How do we do this? Well, that's what we're here to learn about today. But I don't want to just share another case study or some tactic with you, because I've already done that hundreds of times. I've done that in writing. I've done that at other events. I've done it on webinars. I've done it on YouTube. The best way I know how to help you grow is to help make you more valuable, so that all the other tactics you learn about today and tomorrow, when you apply them to your company, you'll have more output. So for the last 7 years, I've lived in New York City and San Francisco, and I've worked with dozens of startups. And throughout that time, I've been trying to figure out, how can we achieve more? How can we get more done with the same amount of time as everyone else? How can we do well at our full-time job, start side projects that make more money later than our full-time job? How do we also then still have a life? How do we sleep in on Saturday? And so I started putting this to the test a few months ago on January 17th, when I put everything I own into storage and started traveling full-time with my wife. So I want to recap the last 137 days, what I've been up to. And if that's interesting, I want to then talk about how we can apply what I've learned to what you do so that you can grow your company faster. So I'm a product guy. I like building products. I manage around 9 right now, but I launched 3 more in the last 90 days. This one's called Insta Contest. If you're a consumer brand on Instagram, this will help you get more ROI from your marketing campaigns. We launched something called Conference Shop. This is for marketers like yourself who want to determine, should I sponsor or exhibit at some conference? What's the ROI? And we launched Team Bookshelf, teambookshelf.com. This will help you start a company book club in just a minute or two, so that you can develop your culture and invest in your people. I lost 25 pounds, and got a lot stronger, so that was fun. And I wrote about that process called Fitness for Hackers. So this is my new book coming out. I signed a publisher deal about a month and a half ago, and I turned in this manuscript 3 days ago. So it comes out in 2 months. If you want to get on the wait list, fitnessforhackers.com. On the sales and revenue side at FOMO, we closed enterprise deals with ADP and TurboTax. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but this is about sharing. And I've written 16 case studies on everything from technology, so writing about the size of a JavaScript snippet, to how much ROI we got from an email newsletter campaign. I've written about my failures on Failery. I've written about research, technical SEO. And my favorite case study of mine in the last few months was how someone tried to steal from me $2,100, and I won it all back in a claim. I wrote about that and went viral on Boing Boing and Dig. Throughout this process, I realized how dishonest so many marketers are in their attempts to sell. So with my team at FOMO, we launched honestmarketer.com. And this is a 100% free resource that you can check out. It's a series of guides, and in a couple weeks, comics and memes that help you write better sales copy so you can stop lying just to sell. In my free time, I learned to play ukulele. And what's the point of knowing an instrument unless you record and write music, right? So I started booking studios around the world. This is me in Thailand, recording 3 songs. This is me a couple weeks ago in Dubai, recording ukulele and doing some vocal mixing. Of course, once you record music, you need album artwork, so I started taking art lessons online, learning how to draw. I started illustrating my own stuff, along with this deck. This one on the right is from my latest single, 90s Kid. Hopefully the motif stands out to you a little bit. To grow professionally, I read 18 books. They're not all very good. My favorite's actually the top right, Steve Martin. He wrote about his life as a comedian. Ironic that I didn't really like any of the marketing books, but to give back, I started a scholarship called the Honest Marketer Scholarship. This is for marketers who want to learn how to code and become better leaders. So what I'm doing for the next 2 years is financing a few marketers to take online coding boot camps and to read more books and to develop their leadership chops. I'm actually opening this back up in a few days. So if you're interested, if you're a marketer who wants to become a better marketer, who wants to be a founder, and who wants to know how to build products, just follow me on Twitter. I'm announcing this again in a few days. My Twitter is Ryan C. Kulp. And I co-led 7 workshops across 3 different events to talk about creativity, technology, and marketing. Then I joined a productivity challenge with some strangers on the internet to try to see who could get done the most work. I think I won, but nobody will agree. And throughout this process, traveling to 10 countries, 13 cities, and staying in 15 Airbnbs for the last 137 days, I started a travel blog with my wife where we wrote about every experience. And because we're total nerds, we integrated this blog with our credit cards and my Foursquare account so you can see exactly where I am, what I'm doing, and how much I'm spending by category. I even managed to tweet 1,967 times. Okay, why am I telling you this? Well, it starts with where I came from before. I grew up really average. I scored bad grades. I almost got kicked out of school. I was rejected from every college I applied to. I learned that I have some mental challenges like Tourette's and OCD and some other things. And I just thought I would remain average and die average and have an average funeral, and that would be it. So I would say I'd put myself before on around 5% of this human potential scale. How close are you to achieving your potential? I was around 5 or 10%. For the last 137 days, I think I got closer to about 60. And I think most of the time, most of us are around 30 to 40. So as we learn these different growth tactics, but we're watering them down with 30% efficiency, it's no wonder we're not growing as fast as we want to. So I want to talk about some of the things I've learned to make us more effective as growth marketers so that we can get more done. This is the things that I've identified. First, it starts with self-talk. Who's ever screwed up at work, whatever, and said, "I'm such an idiot"? Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. I have a new phrase for you. You need to say, "I'm a champion." Let's repeat. I'm a champion. And I can do anything. Because you can. It wasn't until the 1850s that historians started to record how quickly someone could run a mile. And it took over 100 years. But finally, in 1954, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile record. It had never been done. That's him on the left. Just 46 days later, John Landy broke Roger Bannister's record, and he's on the far right. So you see, even with world-class athletes, self-talk is everything. No one could run the 4-minute mile until they believed they could. And people didn't believe they could until someone else did. The better your self-talk, the more ambitious work you'll do. Next, we've got our environment. This is really simple, but it's often overlooked. Maybe this is familiar. I don't know how to draw stand-up desks, but that's my attempt. I don't even understand stand-up desks. But a lot of us work in open offices. They're very noisy, they're very distracting, and we kind of just joke about it on Twitter. Oh, you know, so loud, haha. Slack, it's so annoying, haha. But then we get less done, and it's like, whatever. If you're a team member at a company and you have an office or an environment that's not what you need, and you haven't said anything to your manager, shame on you. And if you're the manager who has curated a poor working environment, shame on you. All of us need a different working environment, so I'm not here to prescribe one. For me, I need natural sunlight, I need a clean surface, I need fast internet. For you, you might need something else. But ultimately, you have to improve your environment, and you'll know you've achieved the ideal working environment when you can work for hours, and then it gets dark, and you didn't notice, and someone comes in and says, what are you doing? Go home. So the better your environment, the higher your throughput. It's very important. Next is priorities. This is kind of the top, actually. I shoved it in the middle. A lot of us learned to code or learned to market when we were early 20s, maybe just getting out of school. And we started reading case studies, which, by the way, is just porn. And here's why. We started reading case studies, and you imitate before you create. So you say, how do I do a referral marketing strategy? How do I make a free lead generation tool that will turn people into paying customers later? How do I do this? We read a case study, and those are fun. Feels like a good spent morning. And then we try to apply it, and it doesn't work out so well. So it's just like real porn, where, and not that I know anything about this, when you try to apply it, it doesn't work the same. And I personally had this realization years ago as a marketer, because I came up with ideas, and then I couldn't implement them because I learned that I need a developer. I need someone more technical than me. And I had this epiphany: how could I build a career in technology and not know how to build technology? So I learned to code. This is some code at FOMO. You can't really copy it, good luck. But it powers something that millions of people see every day. It's 50 lines of code. Did this a couple years ago, and it's still there. But before I could do that, I had to work through this process of my self-talk and my environment. Here's a few of the things that I told myself before I became a marketer who could code. First, I said, I'm not smart enough to code. Maybe that's familiar to some of you. Then I said to myself, well, you know, it's useless to start in my late 20s. Even if I could learn, what's the point? And then I thought, let's be rational. I don't think the way programmers think. When I talk to them at events, they just think differently than me. But then I learned this word, myth. It's M-Y-T-H, myth. It's a really cool word. It means things that don't exist. All of those are myths. That was my self-talk, precluding me from being what I was supposed to be. So to do this, I gave myself the right environment. I was way too distracted in New York, way too many friends that want to go drinking, way too many things to do on the weekends. So I packed up my stuff and I went to Thailand. I don't know why Thailand. It was actually just the #1 rated on Nomad list at the time. I have no clue if it's a good place. But I went there, and that's how I learned to code. If you want to learn about how I did that, just Google best post ever written on learning to code. I'll show up #1. But be warned, it's just porn. When you set priorities for your work, you do work that has more meaning. I realize that I may never be the best marketer, but I could be a really good technical marketer. I could be a pretty good product marketer. Trade-offs. Earlier, I mentioned some of the things I was able to do in the last 137 days while traveling. But I didn't mention things that I couldn't do. For example, I didn't get to go to my friend's bachelor party. I didn't get to go to his wedding. I didn't get to spend time with family during their birthdays. And I definitely didn't get to watch any of this. Not a single episode. That's okay with me, but these are trade-offs. I canceled my Facebook account in 2011, which, by the way, nobody should have Facebook because it's an evil company. We can talk about that. I canceled Instagram in 2016. I canceled LinkedIn in 2017 because LinkedIn is for people who want jobs, and I don't want a job, so I don't want LinkedIn. And I never signed up for this one, but I hear it can take a lot of your time. Before leaving New York, we've heard about this today, actually, how important it is to have a network. Well, for me, part of my trade-off, or part of my challenge, my distraction in New York, was that network. Networks are a double-edged sword. So I want to share the other perspective there. I know you can't read this, I'll summarize. But over the last 7 years, I've built up a network of people that I really kind of knew, right? Not Facebook friends, people I really kind of knew. These are founders, marketers, developers, venture capitalists, just rich people. Those are always good to know. And I had them on this email list. And every few months, I would send them what's called a friend update. I didn't invent this, but it's a cool thing to do. Send all of your people an update every few months. And before I left New York, I decided, let's take my network, let's take a match, and let's just burn it to the ground and see what will happen. So I sent everyone this email. Hi, everyone. I used to send you my friend updates. Last year's been great. Next month, I'm ending my lease in New York, and I'm traveling. I canceled my phone number 6 months ago. Sorry if you tried texting me. I didn't let anyone know. And, oh yeah, by the way, I'm shutting down this email, so this inbox will no longer be monitored. Happy Monday. So I took out my network because my network, as good as it had been for me for 6 or 7 years, was no longer useful if I wanted to go heads down and see how close I can get to achieving my potential. So see, our trade-offs are sacrifices. Each time you make a trade-off, and it's natural to avoid these, by the way, but each time you sense a trade-off needing to be made in your life, professionally anyway, embrace it. And acknowledge that each sacrifice is actually a raw material that converts into something people said couldn't be done. Deadlines. Have you ever stayed up all night to finish something at the last minute? Maybe in college, yeah, sometimes for work. And you were probably really effective. There's that saying that says if you wait until the last minute to do something, it only takes a minute to do. So imagine if you had those kinds of projects on your plate every week. What about every day? How much more could you achieve? When I decided earlier this year I wanted to lose weight and get stronger, I didn't just promise myself to go work out. That would have been ineffective. Instead, I started giving myself deadlines. I have to go 16 hours before I can eat again. I'm not going to snack. So that was a micro fast. I'm going to track my calories. I'm going to go to the gym this many times and do this many reps. I set deadlines, and I achieved my goal. When I decided I wanted to have a really productive 30-day sprint with those strangers on the internet, I didn't just say, let's all be productive. Good luck, guys. Instead, we presented each other our goals. We held ourselves accountable. I wrote down my goals, stretch goals, and 30 tasks I needed to knock out. And when I woke up every day, regardless of what my inbox said, I actually have 9 inboxes. Regardless of what my inboxes had in store for me, I focused on first things first, as Peter Drucker says. And that deadline worked. When I decided I wanted to play more music or write more music, and I hadn't written a song in almost 2.5 years, I didn't just promise myself to practice more. Adults don't practice, we do. Instead, I booked studio time in countries that I wasn't even in yet, ahead of time, because studios are really expensive. So it's super embarrassing to show up to a studio and not have anything to record. So my next session actually is in a month from now. I have 7 days straight in a recording studio. I can probably record 4 or 5 songs. I have 0 songs written. But I guarantee you, when I show up July 10th, Madeira Island in Portugal, I will have those 4 or 5 songs ready to go because I set a deadline. Deadlines are superpowers. And superpowers enable us to do the work that's important and not just urgent. I saved tools for last. This is a tech conference. Within that realm, it's a marketing conference. I know how important tools are to marketers. And I debated whether or not I wanted to let you guys know what's in my black box. What are my tools? Because once you know my tools and you use my tool, then we'll be competing, and I don't want more competition. But this is about sharing. So I actually brought my tool today. It's in my pocket, and I'm going to pull it out. It's my bare hand. I've spent thousands of dollars on coaches, books, you saw 18 of them, manuals, pro support packages, upgrading my freemium products to the pro version. I've even paid Trello to customize the background image on my boards because I thought that would be cool. Nobody pays for Trello. I paid for Trello. And what I learned from all of that is the best tool I have is my bare hands, because that makes you self-reliant. And when you do things with your bare hands, you're more proudful of your work. So I want everyone actually to hold up their hands and say, these are my bare hands. Do it, come on. These are my bare hands. These are my greatest tools. They're the only thing I need, except maybe a MacBook. When you work through these pillars and you apply them to your day, to your mindset, these are just a sample of the outcomes that get you higher up on that scale of human potential. You do more ambitious work. You increase your throughput without having more time in the day. You achieve more of your goals. You have superpowers, and you don't rely on anyone. But underscoring all of these outputs, all of these benefits, is being intentional. I didn't accidentally write music. It's really painful for me to write music. I didn't accidentally read books. It's really painful for me to read more than a few sentences at a time without looking away. I didn't accidentally miss my friend's wedding or put all of my stuff in storage, and I definitely didn't accidentally email all 150 people in my network that I basically don't want to talk to them anymore. I was intentional, and it's paid off. If you want all of these slides, just go to ryanckulp/pizza. I'm not going to ask for your email or anything. So let me ask you all again. Who here works for a company that isn't growing as fast as you want? Yeah. And who's working as hard as they possibly can? Right. So that gap is the opportunity. That's the biggest opportunity I know of to help you grow your company. Grow yourself, and your company will follow. Thank you.
Well, I told you that he was a super speaker, so thank you, Ryan. Any questions for him? We have time. Yes, Luca, coming.
I'm guessing here, but could you tell us something about your diet?
I've tried a few things. The way I lost weight and got stronger was doing the ketogenic diet, so just fancy word for no bread, no rice. Basically, no Italy allowed. And about 1 week ago, I started the carnivore diet. So I just eat meat now, and that's fun. Yeah.
Coming. I have 2 speakers that want to ask questions. 3, actually. Wow, it's amazing. Raf, you're not the next one. We have Gerard.
And thank you very much for the presentation, super inspirational. I just sent you an email saying thank you. Any nootropics on all these super happier power commitment that you do?
Any nootropics?
Nootropics, yeah.
Actually, I wrote about that in Fitness for Hackers, and the answer is no. Yeah, I don't believe in any kind of supplements. I think we have so much more energy that we give ourselves credit for, and sure, I like caffeine as much as the next guy, but that's it. So I haven't taken any supplements or anything like that.
Good. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. It was super cool.
Thank you.
But I want to know a couple of tools. So I'm a tool guy. So give me like your 3 top tools.
Trello, Gmail shortcuts, not Gmail, just the shortcuts, and a text editor. So I take a lot of notes in my text editor. And since notes look so gross inside of a coding text editor, what you do is you just throw them in the trash after, and your desktop stays clean.
Yeah, coming.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I just want to ask you why, which is your motivation? Why did you start?
I'm still trying to figure this out, but on a day-to-day basis, I think it's pretty cliche. It's probably the motivation of many of us in this room, which is I want to wake up and decide what to do that day and not have to conform to what the calendar says or what the boss says or something like that. So it's very simple. I don't really have many aspirations of new things to do. I want to do less. And just like in music, if you want to play jazz, jazz is just breaking the rules. But you have to know the rules to perfectly break them with accidentals and ghost notes. And so similarly, I think the way we've set up our economy, you have to kind of play the game and do well and achieve so that you can stop playing the game.
Man, you're having so many questions.
Hi, thank you very much for your speech. I just had a really practical question. So, as a marketer, which kind of programming language would you suggest to start with?
I suppose the easiest one, and I say the easiest because elitist developers who don't want us to realize how easy it is to do what they do, they make fun of certain languages. So right now, everyone makes fun of Ruby and Rails because they're really easy. And they're really beautiful and expressive. And yeah, they're not as fast as some other languages. So Facebook's PHP, it's very fast. But Airbnb is Rails. GitHub is built on Ruby and Rails. Many companies are. So that's what I do. Ruby, Rails, JavaScript. Whatever it takes, right, to get the job done. If it needed something else, I would learn that. But it kind of doesn't matter, right? What matters is just starting.
Hi, thank you. Now I feel really, really motivated. Just a question. What's the next goal you want to achieve in your future?
Oops. Maybe a
Yeah, maybe
pizza.
to actually write good music. Yeah.
Maybe a pizza diet. If you can get.
Hi, I'm a kind of grammar Nazi, and I'm asking why you use I not in capital letter.
Oh, you've seen my emails.
No, yes, but also in the slides.
Oh, sure.
Where it's, I'll stop.
So one thing I do that I don't find very interesting, but other people find interesting, is I don't capitalize any letters, right, in emails. It doesn't matter if I'm emailing a big customer or a friend. Who am I kidding? I don't really have any friends anymore. But I don't capitalize letters. And I've been asked this many times, and it goes to show kind of why I don't do it. We have these fake rules imposed on us. You have to write sentences this way. You have to be that way. You have to hang out and do brunch every Saturday. You have to drink 4 times a week in order to be in your 20s. And none of it's true. And one of those small rules that I break is capitalizing letters. And it freaks people out. And we've probably lost customers because of it. Because some people have actually emailed me and screamed and cursed over email, why did you not capitalize my name? It's like, well, because I don't care, right? So now I capitalize names. Those are pronouns, that's good. But I don't capitalize the word I don't matter.
Any questions for Ryan?
You said that you left behind many friends. How is your network now? Who is your best target to discuss and to talk?
Sure. Thank you. I've moved a lot of my energy to Twitter, right? So it allows me to connect with anyone, anywhere. Just a couple weeks ago, when I mentioned that I was going to be here in Milan, around 7 or 8 Italians who live here said, let's meet up. So tomorrow we might do some kind of, I guess, I don't want to say it wrong. It's not a pizza party, but I can't say sausage party. But I'm going to meet up with some strangers tomorrow. So I have sort of an Italian network, but I didn't have to invest in that other than creating content online.
Can I do the last, or is there anyone interested? Yeah, that's amazing. I'm running on the other side. I've already done 13,000 steps today. Let's see where I get at the end. Maybe we can find another microphone to put in the back.
First of all, thanks for the speech. I would like to ask you if you have a sort of mentor, some mentor or a friend of a special person that helped you to realize what you did. I mean, some motivation where you were down or something like that?
Yeah, so I wish I had a real mentor. I've hired a coach before, and that was useful for making decisions at FOMO, so a very specific type of learning. In terms of life, I actually have been going back to this for many, many years. It's very lame. It's not exciting, so I'm sorry in advance. But I watched a movie a long time ago. It has, if you guys know this actor, Zach Braff, and he made Garden State and a few usually not very good movies. And one of his movies is called The Last Kiss. And in the movie, he cheats on his wife on accident or whatever. He was very upset about it. I shouldn't say on accident. And he cheats on his fiancée. They're about to get married. And then she leaves him because he tells her. And he's really distraught. He doesn't know what to do and how to get her back. And so he goes to her father and he says, how do I win her back? And the dad says, all you have to do is whatever it takes. And ever since I heard that line, I've embraced it and I've repeated it to myself almost daily for the last 10 years.
Can I do the last, or is there anyone else interested in asking questions to Ryan? I mean, you're going to be, if you go outside in the coffee break, I think it's going to be a fun time for you. What do you want to do when you grow up? Like, let's say 10 years from now, what do you want to do?
I think not technology, yeah. Yeah, well, I think I got into technology because I wasn't making any money playing music. And I kind of just followed the demand, right? So right now, coding, marketing, these things pay really well because there's a supply and demand gap. But I hope that as the years go by, good taste and entertainment and those things will pay a little better for the indies as well. So yeah, this is sort of my long way around. It's not romantic, but it's my long way around to get back into music. If I build an app, I can buy a microphone, right? And that's kind of metaphorically what I've been trying to do for the last few years.
Guys, help me thanking Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you.